Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Murray Field up here at the Norwood High School for NCM's live broadcast as we begin the fall season. Mark Hoover for NCM Sports, and just pleased to be joined today, making his broadcast debut, former president of the Norwood Youth Soccer Program, Eric Bodenhofer. Eric, welcome upstairs here to the broadcast booth.
Well, thank you very much, Mark, and thank you for the promotion. I never actually was president, but I appreciate that. I'll take credit for all the good things Norwood Youth Soccer has done. No problem with that.
See, all these times I thought for some reason you were in charge of the whole program, and so I was trying to give you credit there.
No, I appreciate it. It's because my ego is overly large, undeservedly so I can understand the error.
Well, we are pleased this weekend to be bringing you as many of the soccer and all fall sports this fall for the Norwood High School program. This morning we've got a doubleheader. We've got the boys JV soccer team and later the varsity team taking on the Mohawks of Millis, and we have just got underway here. A number of rule changes and changes that you'll see and we'll try to get to during the course of the broadcast today, obviously due to the pandemic. Norwood, in its all blue, is taking on, as we mentioned, the Mohawks of Millis there in the white and the maroon shorts. Quarters, Eric, we're running quarters instead of halves, which soccer is normally two halves. They've moved it to quarters this year.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if that changes anything about how the boys play, just in terms of, if they feel like they can go harder or longer because they're going to get a bigger break in between, but it'll be interesting to see.
One of the things, too, here is you'll notice the ball just went out, so this would normally be a Millis throw-in, but they're trying to limit as much hand contact even on throw-ins, so now your throw-in is basically a kick in on the ground.
Yeah, Mark, do you have any idea? So it has to stay on the ground? Is that what the rule is?
I believe the kicks in, have to stay on the ground. They're
Okay.
trying to keep the ball down low as possible. And you can also see, certainly here on the broadcast, all the players have to wear their masks at all times. Referee has his mask. So, and they're also trying to keep a limit in terms of the actual amount of contact that the players are allowed to have. It's a sport that it's not necessarily a contact sport. It's going to happen, but I think even in what's going on now, they're trying to keep that to an absolute minimum in terms of the actual hands-on contact between players.
Yeah, I understand that normally when you could have formed a wall in front of a free kick, that's done away with for this season, and I think similarly on the corner kicks they've made some rule changes. So yeah, the boys will have to adjust some of their strategy, but I think generally it's going to be the same game.
So Norwood here is starting early on here in this first quarter with possession down in the Millis end. Some nice movement with the boys.
That's Cam LaPiccolo there with a nice try for the ball through there.
Yeah, most of these are your freshmen and sophomores as they kind of get themselves ready for the varsity level.
Yeah, I think there are a few juniors on the team. Patrick Kelly, who I believe is centering the back line, is a junior, and Tim Lee, number 1, I think playing striker, is also a junior. But yes, largely freshman, sophomore players.
So we'll try to get some of these guys and their names and numbers for you, as well as the folks hopefully watching live from Millis today. We managed to get some of the information over to the Millis athletic director so that the folks out there can watch their sons play.
No.
Trying to pull the offsides call, and they were able to. Millis player were just offsides there.
It was very nice of Patrick Kelly to give the referee an assist on that.
Been watching a lot of the English Premier League, these guys do, and they know if they put their arm up, sometimes maybe they can say, hey, we clearly saw that it was offsides, and maybe you didn't. So, yeah, Kelly will take the kick here for the Mustangs.
Oh, nice ball. Tim Lee is very fast, so, wait.
Now, there is also sometimes there's a question of whether or not, how far the ball can go in the air over midfield, and maybe that's what the referee's trying to explain to Patrick there. So, looks like this ball will, some sort of discussion there, but Millis will take it on the kick coming back the other way. Or they're going to
award Millis a kick at the spot of the kick. Interesting. Wow, so this really will change some of the strategy, because that was a beautiful ball from Patrick, and Tim Lee had a step on the Millis defender, and I think, on his way towards goal when it was called back. So,
and just like that, so number 22, Joe Boret, will put it in play for Millis. Picked up there by Adam Hart.
That's unfortunate.
Trying to sneak that one through.
So by process of elimination, I believe the Norwood goalie is Zach Goreen, but I'm not entirely positive about that.
Well, we're looking at the numbered roster here, and he's listed as 00, so
yeah, which
I
seems
kinda like
likely
that. Yeah.
that that's what they gave the goalie, but
De Silva takes it down here the far wing, knocked out of bounds, and they'll get the, you can't even really say the throw in, but they'll get the kick in, as it were. And so we're kind of certainly 6 feet apart up here in our booth, and just thrilled to have our folks from NCM here bringing as much live coverage for this. I understand that the MIAA just the other day, or at least somehow relaxed some of the rules so that at least now 2 parents are permitted to come to the various matches and games, which is kind of nice, because prior to yesterday, nobody was allowed in.
yeah, I think much better for the parents to be able to watch this live rather than having to listen to the two of us.
So a nice little flick there early on with Kelly trying to knock that ball in. Sends it out of bounds, and Millis will then take over.
Again with another kick in.
Yeah. I was talking to one of the coaches beforehand. Yeah. See, now there's the call. So this is what's going to happen here, is that, as you can see the ref pointing up in the air, that even these kicks have got to be on the ground. So the Millis player there who tried to kick the ball in after it had gone out of bounds, because it was elevated, that's a turnover there. And so the kick-ins have to be on the ground. I think obviously we've seen our passes back and forth can be up in the air, but the kick-ins and the indirect kicks have got to be on the ground. And now,
have they
you're
taken
not allowed
heading
to head,
out of?
too.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
So definitely some rule changes. The boys it's gonna take a little getting used to after, 8 years or however long of playing soccer one way, to suddenly adjust yourself, especially in a game where I'm sure the boys are first game of the season, very jacked, ready to play hard, and not necessarily going instinctually rather than remembering these rule changes.
Yeah, and Eric, like you said, it is, you have to feel for a lot of these athletes. They've you're trying to get your sport up and running here, and you finally have the chance. That's a nice ball.
That was a nice ball.
That'll swing all the way over as Pino will pick it up for the Mustangs.
Shot a little wide, but hey, at least they got a shot.
Put it on net. There was a nice little shot there by Neves, number 50. But yeah, you're right, Eric. Everyone's looking forward to finally getting back onto the field. You've been practicing. You've been waiting to see what's going to happen. You've been trying to adjust to new rules and new regulations. Yeah, and this is not the first time for a lot of these kids. A lot of these young men have been playing since you had the intro to soccer. So.
Right, since people were yelling rotate between between drills.
Those right, I remember those. Those were great.
Yep.
And so now you've been trying to hone your game, and then all of a sudden they take away things like headers and throw-ins and whatnot. But some nice movement here again by the Mustangs, kind of controlling early on with 8:36 left in the first quarter. Still no score, but most of the play, Eric, I think, has been down the Millis end. And of course, as soon as I say that,
but I would agree. I think Norwood thus far has had the run of play, which is great. But now Millis is building up. He was clearly offsides. All right, and the ref agrees with me.
Yeah. And you can even see over on the sideline, too, now in terms of substitutions, the players themselves, as they stand on the sidelines, have to keep, again, that distance between players. I think Millis looked like they were getting ready for a wholesale change, but they're, again, trying to make sure there's this limited contact between the players, both on your own team and the opponents. So, again, a lot of stuff you got to kind of go through now to prep not only as a coach but as a player.
Yeah. And interesting, too, because I think, oftentimes when you're on the sideline, you're doing as much coaching of the players standing there as you are the players on the field, perhaps more so since the kids on the field are a little distracted by the game they're actually playing, but probably harder for the coach to turn and say, hey, notice this. He's got to go speak to each player individually. So changes, I think, at every level of the game, just as everyone adjusts to the COVID version of high school soccer.
So Millis makes a wholesale change here. As mentioned, they bring in their entire section. I noted that during that last whistle there, Norwood did switch up a couple. So Millis again starts now to kind of work back in there.
Got fresh
Colin
legs,
Burns.
I guess, right? That's their.
Yeah, this is going to be kind of, again, it's going to be kind of hard to follow with why the whistles and why the play is stopping. Again, if that ball apparently gets up in the air. So Kelly will take the kick here. And again, I guess he's got to probably try to keep it. Well, I guess that one was all right. I don't, again, sometimes they blow whistles to stop things and sometimes they don't. But Nevis on the long run there in the far corner, trying to get that ball in. Defended nicely by Millis. They'll start to roll it back out here.
Yeah, I do not understand why that kick was okay and the prior one was not. And I'm sure if we're confused, the boys are going to be equally so. So, well, actually, that's probably not true. I think if we're confused, there are a lot of reasons why that may be happening. But
Evan Pimentel there for the Mohawks, working the ball up across midfield, dishes it off nicely. Nice little ball through there.
Yep, he was on. So
Petrush tries to work for Mills, but defended nicely.
Yeah, he did a good job coming back and pressuring that ball out of bounds.
Like 43 Union had been able to knock the ball off of the Millis player, so that goes to the Mustang possession there. Kelly is going to put that quote throw in nice and on the ground.
There we go. Oh, that would have been it's a good switch of the field there.
And that's kind of what you're looking for. And again, I know, Eric, you've done a lot of coaching, over the course of your career and playing is a lot of the times being able to get these guys and gals, the men and women's game, to kind of reverse the field, take the pressure off from one side and, look to kind of alleviate that and kind of open up some space.
Yeah, I think the kids who played for me got sick of hearing me tell them that the game was played up, back, and around, right? The idea that it's not always straight at the goal. It's okay you've got the entire field and you can use it side to side and front to back. So find the space and use it. And I think Norwood thus far has done a pretty good job of switching the field and finding the not just the open man, but space for a player to run into. So they look good. I mean, considering that this is the first game of the season, that these are kids who haven't been able to play organized sports for a while.
Yep.
I mean, a lot of them I'm sure were spring athletes, track athletes, or whatever, and they lost that season and then a summer where a lot of the club sports weren't able to function, and now they're back on the field for the first time, and they look good.
So again, a turnover on possession there, and Norwood will take over again. Just kind of a drop little kick to get the action started.
Tim Lee with a ball through. Oh, nice.
Right through there, he is through. Oh,
hey,
he buries it.
Nicely done.
4:20 left in the first quarter. That was a nice setup there. It was just kind of, small little thing. Again, being able to set the ball to start the whole play by just moving it forward, and then the ball is in play and buried there. But I think that was number 10, Isa Gunbani. I'm not quite sure on that one.
Yeah,
in terms of spelling, the pronunciation of that last name.
Yeah, Isa Gadbuni. I'm not sure.
Yep.
Apologies to your family if they're
that's
watching.
Right, but gets the first goal here for the Norwood soccer season, and as Norwood takes the 1-0 lead here with 3:40 left in the first quarter.
And now
Millis trying to come right back.
But yeah, like you said, there was some nice passing in tight space there, and a well-weighted ball through that Isa was able to run onto, and then bury the ball in the back of the net. It was nicely done.
Yeah, it was one of those. These kick-in throw-ins now almost kind of become additional set plays because you have the chance now to, as the name indicates, kind of set yourself up, set your offense, because it appears to be there's more stoppage now of the play than we would normally see during a regular soccer match. So maybe some of the stuff that you're going to be working on as a coach is going to, kind of be that work on these set plays off of these indirect kicks.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I think definitely having to keep the ball on the ground with these kick-ins definitely changes how you move as a team. With a throw-in, there are more options, right? I mean, if it doesn't have to stay on the ground, and I think, you can throw it over somebody's head, it's not as easy to kick it under somebody's legs. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see and I think as the season progresses, I'm sure they'll get better at how they handle that, and it'll be interesting to see sort of the, how varsity does with it, right? Because those are kids who've been playing under the normal rules for even longer, and now having to adjust to this, but you would expect that they're a little more skilled and a little more tactical, and so it'll be really, I think, kind of interesting to compare the two and see how much further ahead varsity is or isn't once that game comes around. But But Norwood is once again in the Millis end of things and threatening and looking good.
So we've got 2 minutes left in the first quarter, and as we have been doing double duty up here, we're trying to keep track of the clock as well. So I've been told to stop it at 2 minutes. That's going to sail just a little high and wide.
Is it? It looks like.
Well, it says 4 on it.
Oh.
Yeah, so we're trying to, as our athletic director, Mr. Longley, indicated that the clock is a little squirrely here on the early season, so
it's still running. It just isn't actually showing up.
it's just not actually showing up. Yeah.
Right. And actually, I should give Mark all the credit. He's the one pulling double duty. They realized that I was not capable of watching the game and doing it. I'm chewing gum though, so I suppose I've got 2 things going on there. But otherwise, Mark's the expert here.
And that'll be the end of the first quarter.
All right.
A late goal by the Mustangs, and they will take, heading into the second quarter, a 1-0 lead. Eric, thoughts on the first quarter here of their first opening game of the season?
Yeah, like I said, I think they look really good, and I think they're adjusting pretty well to the rule changes. A few hiccups here and there, notwithstanding. But oh wait, did that actually?
Well, now I'm not.
Now
sure
I'm
what's
confused.
going on.
Now apparently, all right. So it's still that it remains true. I think they've adjusted well. I think they're looking good. They've been threatening a lot, but now they need to get some ball boys out there because that ball might be heading all the way to the cemetery.
That's another rule too. I know that the home team has got to have, I think, like 7 or 8 soccer balls around the field. And I think they put down 2 at each corner.
To each corner. I see. Yeah.
So that there's the limited handling of the ball. So Millis will get the goal kick here, and they'll try to work it up through the middle of the field.
Good pressure there again from our goal scorer.
Flipped on ahead, but again, Norwood has been very strong defensively, not really letting Millis get anything set up. Nice ball through there. He'll stay on side, but corralled nicely by number 18 there, Micah Papadopoulos.
Oh.
All right, now that's got to be the end of the first quarter.
That seems right.
All right, that seems a bit more. That seems a bit more realistic. Yeah. So now at the end of the first quarter, with your score Norwood 1, Millis 0. Again, I think to watch these kids, Eric, in terms of trying to adjust, and you can see as it goes along, they'll probably become a little bit more used to the new rules and the new regulations.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I really, if I'm going to do this again, I perhaps ought to read up on the rule changes a little more because I don't know what sort of spacing they're supposed to give. Normally on a throw-in, there's a lot of marking up, right, where you're bodying the guy, trying to stay between him and the ball or whatever. And I haven't seen quite as much of that, and I don't know if that's actually the rules or if we're dealing with JV players who maybe aren't quite as physical and aggressive as varsity players would be. Because as you noted, it's not a contact sport, but there is an awful lot of contact that takes place in soccer, and I think. I think sometimes parents of youth soccer players, as they move up in age, they sometimes get a little surprised by how often their kids get knocked to the ground when they get to U14 or whatever, and there's no call, and it's because there is the ability to body someone off the ball, and I haven't seen as much of that in this game. And again, I don't know if that's the rule change or if we're just seeing a different sort of style from JV players who are not quite yet used to the more physical high school game.
So after 1 quarter of action, it is 1-0 Norwood. We'll be right back after these messages.
Do you want to stay up to date with Norwood Community Media? Then subscribe to our weekly NCM newsletter. Every Friday, our promotions department publishes an online newsletter that highlights the work of NCM and the latest happenings. It includes the full episode of Norwood News, recent clips from NCM programs, behind-the-scenes photos, and so much more. NCM works hard to deliver a steady stream of Norwood content, and this newsletter is another way to stay connected to Norwood. To receive the newsletter, just visit www.norwoodcommunitymedia.org. Scroll to the bottom of the page, click the Sign Up for our newsletter button, and enter some basic information. You'll then be added to our newsletter mailing list. It's all here on Norwood Community Media, your home for all things Norwood.
Surprised to see that, but
I guess we're ready. Yeah. Usually it's, just one half. So Nord will now be going, right to left. And Millis will be defending down, obviously, to our left. Yes.
so it looks like there have been some substitutions between the quarter. I don't know that 50 and 17 were in there earlier. Perhaps they were, and I apologize for not noticing. But looks like we've got some new players out there for Norwood.
De Silva there for the Mustangs. Back over to Dan Silva.
Oh, that was
Working back and forth.
Norwood's doing a nice job, sort of patiently. Oh, that was a nice little.
That was a nice little spin, yeah.
Yeah. Little Maradona there. Tim Lee carrying the ball through, looking for the pass out to. I'm not sure who 17 is.
Santana, Brandon Santana
All right,
there.
just a little too much on that, but it was a good idea.
And again, too, when you coach, especially at the younger youth level, you talk about time and space, trying to create area for them to put the ball to and kind of work a triangle and whatnot, and not necessarily need to chase the ball over the place. And that early sequence right there, I thought to start the second quarter was actually kind of nicely done. Just a quick touch passes here and there.
Yeah.
And it sets it up for the run.
Yep. No, absolutely. And then I think that move from the Maradona to get around there and make that run down the sideline, set up largely because of the patience Norwood showed in the tic-tac-toe passing and the keeping the shape, and just like you said, it's I think Norwood looks really good.
Now it looks like, again, we talked just before the break here, between quarters, about the contact that they're trying to limit, and it looks like they picked up one of the Millis players there for some sort of contact. So Kelly's going to take this, and again, it's got to stay on the ground for that first indirect kick. Nice little move there, and then he can put the ball up in the air.
Handled well by the Millis keeper.
But that's kind of how they're going to have to do that, Eric. He's kind of like that first kick is going to have to obviously be on the ground, and then once it's in play and then it comes back, then they can then turn around and put it up in the air.
Yeah.
The hard part is, again, when you try to do corners and whatnot, or you're trying to get the ball into the box, when you take away that header, again, especially on set pieces, can be a big part of your play.
Absolutely, and I think you have a player like Patrick Kelly who's pretty tall, and based on what I've seen from him in the past, he's pretty good in the air. You take away that weapon from Norwood in a lot of ways, right? Especially, you can see the height differential. It's always kind of amusing at the high school level. You've got some really small kids and some really big kids, and being able to take advantage of height can really help in a soccer game. But I think they've taken that away, which is maybe be a good thing for these kids. They'll develop some other skills,
exactly.
and it'll help them in the long run. So
Millis trying to put on some sort of pressure here, unable to do so. De Silva will take the kick in here, number 4. Or he's going to drop it off there to Connor Curran. So Curran will start it in for the Mustangs. And again, his kick here initially is going to have to be on the ground, looking to set the play. Sees right through there to De Silva. Off the back heel turn there on Isa, our goal scorer. He got the pronunciation between quarters.
Yeah, I would like to shout out to Lisa Schletzbaum for correcting our poor pronunciation there. So credit to her for that. She's famous now. I think she's going to be really excited that I said her name on air. Or mad. She's a neighbor of mine, so maybe I'll find something.
It's either a good thing or a bad thing.
Right.
So the Mustangs continue to kind of take control of possession here, at least time of possession. But still here in the second quarter.
Yeah, Norwood really has had the vast majority of possession. Yeah, clearly there must be some rule that they can't be closely marking anyone.
Yeah, and you can see, because as you were mentioning, normally on these throw-ins or kick-ins, you might have an arm in someone's back just to kind of let them know you're there. But in today's game, what's going on right now, you're not allowed to do that.
Yep.
So Norwood works it down inside the Millis box, pop back up top there to Neves.
Oh, nice move there.
Continues to work, centering up.
Just a bit high, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe a little wide, too.
But a nice little work there. He had a nice turn on the Millis defender to kind of give himself at least the shot. But, yeah, it sailed high and wide. So he has been working well.
Yeah, there's a pretty decent level of skill on this JV team. I've seen a lot of really good, ball handling moves and I think also some good runs into space, and so just overall impressed. I think the JV team looks really good.
I was talking to the Norwood head coach just before we came on air, and he was he's cautiously optimistic this year about both squads. He says, they've both been playing extremely well. There's a lot of team chemistry. I think one thing that you may find from what's going on here is that these guys are all kind of working together with these in these unprecedented times, as they've said, that they've started to kind of really develop new skills and are working together to develop a lot of chemistry. So they're looking forward to this season. As weird as it is, I think in terms of the difference of it, I think they're looking to get out there and show off what they've been able to kind of accomplish together.
That's great. Well, I believe it's Coach Healy's first year as the varsity head coach, right? Yeah. So I'm sure he's excited to get his tenure started. So, but it's interesting too. I know 2 years ago Norwood had a varsity, a JV, and a boys freshman team.
Yeah.
And I think they don't have a freshman team this year, and I don't know if it's lack of numbers or coaching, not having a coach or whatnot. But I think that actually helped the program. The fact that 2 years ago they had that freshman team, I think, is paying dividends for the program, because they were able to keep kids, more kids in the program playing at the high school level early on. And I think I know that there are a couple people on the varsity squad who were on that freshman team, and at least 2 players on this JV team. So just a few extra years of playing high school, or an extra year, right? So kids who made that freshman team might not have made JV, and might have had to, might have left the program just because they went to a different fall sport. But I think it's great that, and hopefully that'll happen again. But
so Norwood had turned the ball over down there in the Millis end, but has quickly recaptured possession. Ball off of Millis. Norwood will continue to retain possession here.
They're really really dominating the possession game here.
We've got about 10 minutes left here in the second quarter. Again, your score is still 1-0 Norwood on East's goal. First of the season for the Mustangs. Norwood continues to work possession on this far side. Kelly will take the kick in. Sets up the... And the other thing, too, Eric, is got to be, and I know we've all been wearing masks and whatnot for at least 6 or 7 months now, but even to be out on a field and trying to run and play the game of soccer or any sort of, athletic event with a mask on, it's got to be, again, just a little disconcerting in terms of, maybe it messes with your game a little bit, or maybe you become so used to it, but it's still, something that is probably on your mind in some way.
Yeah, I've got to imagine, and I can't imagine playing a game as cardio intense as soccer with something covering both my nose and my mouth. Right?
Yeah,
it just seems like it's going to require these boys to even their fitness level to be that much better. And I'm sure that if that mask is in your line of sight and your periphery, it can be distracting. And if it shifts or whatever. So I think it's definitely something. I mean, I understand that I believe the boys have to wear them when they practice too. So at least it's not just game time, and so they're getting used to it overall. But yeah, I don't envy them that. And I mean, I know for a fact that I'd be, hands on my knees within 5 minutes without a mask. So.
So Norwood continues here defensively to set the ball up.
Now, I think Norwood is doing a great job. Even when they are dispossessed, they're ball hawking, right? They're going right after it. Oftentimes, Millis is lucky if they can string a pass together. So credit to the Norwood boys for working as hard as they are. Another Millis hockey line change.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting too, because I know that normally you kind of go through the center box as you come in and out for changes, and I think they've kind of eliminated that as well. Again, this season anyway, that it's more kind of a just I don't want to say a free for all, but as you come on, you're allowed to come in, almost directly off the bench.
Yeah, no, I think they don't want the two teams standing next to one another at
Exactly.
midfield, and
Nice little touch there by Pino.
it would just make it that much harder for the refs to count and make sure the same number of kids. But they're Millis on a breakaway. Patrick
Run
Kelly
here by
doing a
Glenn.
great job.
Yep.
Great job of shielding off and allowing his keeper the opportunity to come out and play the ball.
That was a nice little, speed there. A nice little burst by number 19, Jackson Glenn for Millis.
All right, they seem to be awarding Millis a free kick at the top of the box for what I do not know.
Well, this ought to be interesting again because now, I don't know about setting up walls, but I think these are all indirect kicks because he's
But
inside the box though. Yeah, so these would be indirect kicks.
Ooh.
Oh, nice
Wow.
block there by
That
Kelly.
was- way to
Boy,
sacrifice yourself.
You could hear that one up here.
Yes.
But that's kind of how they had to run that play. You get the indirect kick there, and so the Millis player basically kind of just taps it back, and then Kelly stepped into the shooting lane there and was able to block that ball down. But the right idea there by Millis on that kick.
Yeah, it was interesting to see because I know they said that there would be no walls, but Norwood certainly had kind of an informal wall. They had a lot of guys standing relatively close to one another in the box.
Yeah.
But again, I think we're all going to learn how these rules work.
As we progress along the season.
Yep.
So Norwood continues to work possession as they kind of work it down the field here. Just over midfield. Kelly again will take the kick in for the Mustangs. Sent along there nicely by Neves. Neves on the run. Oh, he's going to be able to pull in and stop,
nice.
change direction. And he's able to bury it.
Nice.
Woo!
There we go.
Yuri Neves puts the doubles up the score here, puts Norwood up 2-0. That was a great ball in, and then he accelerated down to that far corner, was able to kind of basically almost kind of put the brakes on and then cut back into the middle of the box there to let that one rip. That was a great little play.
Yeah, no, definitely. It was a nice first pass that sprung him down the sideline, but then a lot of that was largely on him. He really some good moves with the ball and a really nice shot. There was, pace and precision on that one.
So with just over 5 minutes left here in the second quarter, Norwood goes up 2-0 here over Millis. Millis yet, I think, and of course it's one of those, hey, look, there's no traffic, or he's throwing a no-hitter, has yet to really kind of have any sort of quality shot on net. I hesitate to say that, but looks like got the foot up high on that.
That was dangerous both ways. But,
Yep.
Yeah, but I guess home field advantage in
Yep.
that one went to Norwood's favor. So.
Goes Norwood's direction. Pino
nice
calling
ball.
for the ball, and you could see him when they were setting that up. He was getting ready to take off.
I think he did a good job using the ref as kind of a shield there on that
Yeah.
initially. The Millis player who closed quickly but had to kind of go around the ref.
Yeah, that was smart on his. He saw them setting up, and sometimes you're just sitting there looking at the ball, and he knew to take off, put his arm up, and was ready to go. And Kelly found him. But like you said, yeah, the Millis defender did a nice job of closing that down.
Oh, good. And again, some very nice passes in tight space there. That's and a nice through ball that a little too close to the goalie, but never a bad idea to put the ball towards the net, right? You never know when the goalie's going to mishandle it or it'll take a funny bounce. So,
yeah, Pino's ball in there. And like you said, you're right. The goalie looks up. He was able to make the save fairly easily, but as he looks up, he's got 3 blue jerseys right there. Yep. So Norwood was putting people into the box looking for that ball. Adam Hart defensively is able to turn it back for Millis. Kelly again working hard. We've been calling this young man's name quite a bit.
Yeah, we really have. You're right. He's doing a great job in the back there.
Set over there to Curran.
But once again, right, Norwood about to lose possession, and there's another blue shirt in the right place, or at least moving quickly to the right place. So, good job by them. I think really hustling and working together as a team and backing one another up. So.
De Silva had set the ball in, and then the Millis defender had knocked it out. So this is, I think, one of our first corner kicks that we've seen here. So I know that normally, and when you watch soccer, they try to really throw that ball, kick that ball in, and, with some elevation to it, and right there,
Yep.
you're not allowed to do that here in the fall. So what it has to be is, again, kind of almost more of an indirect. It's got to be on the ground, and then that second kick can be, I believe, up in the air. So Millis, so that's basically kind of a turnover here. With Millis will then get the throw in with 2:25 left in the.
But hopefully Norwood will be able
quarter.
to keep the pressure up down on this end, even with the. Yep, and here they are.
Ask and ye shall receive.
Well,
That'll just dribble just
so
wide.
Goal kick.
So kind of the same thing. Goal kicks can only go in the air before midfield. If it goes over midfield, then that again is kind of a turnover. So the goalies, will have to keep that ball on this side of the field in the air. Step right in front quickly there by Pino. Pino will knock it back to Serrator. Flicks it over to Curran. Dispossessed there.
But once again, right?
Yeah.
They're just doing a great job.
It's a nice little touch right there.
Sort of, as Jack Edwards likes to say, right? Defending in layers.
Yep. Petrush on the ball. Curran's giving chase. Petrush
There we go.
dispossesses him of the ball. So that was a nice little run there by Petrush.
It was.
For
It was really
Millis.
nice. A good threat from Millis there. And then, largely handled well by Norwood. A little nerve-wracking, but...
I think Curran was probably a little surprised. He kind of was coming back defensively and maybe didn't sense that Petrush was right on his heels. And Petrush was able to at least get to that ball.
Yeah, and I'm not sure. A little miscommunication perhaps between goalie and defender, just in terms of whether maybe Curran was expecting the goalie to come out a little further, or the goalie was expecting the tap back a little earlier. So again, things that they'll work on over the course of the season and get better at, and the communication will improve, and everyone will sort of have a better sense of expectations.
So Hart tried to put that ball in, and boy, I tell you, these referees are not allowing anything, because Hart's ball had to have been maybe a foot off the ground, and the ref called that one for too high, so ball gets turned over there to the Mustangs. Hart knocks it out of bounds, and the Mustangs will have it here with under 2 minutes left in the first half.
And a good job by Norwood on that last kick-in to just kind of a quick restart and catch Millis a little flat-footed and get that run down the sideline. So,
and I think they've been working on that, because you've seen you've seen number 13 Pino do that several times. He'll have a slight little flick in, and then he'll take his run, and so I think that is going to wrap up here our first. Yeah, that'll be the end of the first half, as Nevis scores about 10 minutes in to double up the score. So after your first half, your score is Norwood 2 and Millis 0. We'll be right back with second half action.
Hi, I'm Chief Bill Brooks of the Norwood Police Department. The men and women of the Norwood PD are committed to protecting you and to providing you with top quality service. We're busy. Norwood is a nice town, but in any given 24-hour cycle, we handle anywhere from 65 to 90 radio calls and officer-initiated events. We patrol the town's 10 square miles, including over 100 miles of roadways. Our traffic enforcement focuses on places where crashes have occurred, neighborhoods where residents have reported chronic violations, and offenses that impact crashes, like speed, texting, running stop signs and red lights, and failing to yield to pedestrians. When we're not tied up on calls, we work hard to build relationships with members of the community. So you'll see our officers out walking footbeats, checking in with merchants, and stopping at sporting events to chat with kids. We believe that every resident should know, or at least feel like they know, a member of our department. So if you see us, stop and say hello. We'd love to chat with you. On behalf of the men and women of the Norwood Police Department, it's our pleasure to serve you.
And welcome back here for second half action, as Millis will get the kick and to start the third quarter. Down 2-0. And Eric, first half possession there we were talking about in terms of that and the play of the Mustangs. I was extremely impressed early on with what they were able to do.
Yeah, I agree. I think they really have had the run of play. And interesting, during the halftime break, I heard from someone that apparently Millis didn't have enough players for a JV team until just maybe this week or something, and so I guess they pulled up a few 7th and 8th graders. So, I think that could be a somewhat distinct disadvantage when you're dealing with at this age level, since the kids develop so rapidly but despite that, Millis is hanging in there and has had some good moments. So, but as the hometown announcers, I'm hoping that we see more of what we had in the first half, and Norwood continues to really dominate and work on their ball control and their possession, because I think they're doing a great job.
Yeah, exactly. And I know that my son played Norwood soccer for a number of years up here at the high school, and the program itself, the boys varsity had kind of struggled when they were in the Bay State. They have some big, strong teams, and moving to the Tri-Valley again, also some strong teams. But it is kind of nice to see, the progression of the program as it becomes stronger. And they say, certainly success helps to kind of, the encouragement of the kids, and you keep the players and coming back. So it's kind of nice to see both at the JV level as well as the varsity level. So
yeah, and I think one of the real advantages of being in the Tri-Valley League has been the maybe not as much at the varsity level, where I think they've got some really strong soccer programs, and they've been strong programs for a while. But I think at the JV level, our JV teams are just that much more competitive, because the Bay State teams, I remember hearing about, Natick cutting more players than we actually had trying out.
Yeah.
And so, our JV teams were often largely freshmen and sophomores playing against programs that were almost all sophomores and juniors, because they had freshman teams. And so, I think it helps to keep the boys interested in the sport at the JV level if they're not losing 12-1 all
Exactly.
the time, right? I don't think they have to be winning all the time,
Right.
but at least being competitive, I think, really helps the overall health of the program. So I think that's really been a benefit of the shift to the Tri-Valley.
So Norwood will take the second corner kick of the season, as earlier there, Nevis and Issa had worked nicely in a combination on that far side. Nevis pushing it back to East, and the shot was just saved wide, but comes in there with a corner kick for the Mustangs, able to keep it on the ground. So not dispossessed, but Millis trying to come back up. Strongly stopped there by Serator. Ball all the way back. Norwood would be able to set themselves up here.
I think Millis was a little overambitious on their ability to chase that ball down, but I think still, not a bad idea to try and get it out there and let your faster players run onto it. So
Tamang right here coming in. Puts on the brakes.
Good.
Oh, that's another nice ball right through there to
One more.
Parenchby. Shot there just wide. Pino with a shot. Boy, we've been calling, again, if you look at someone like Patrick Kelly, number 8, and number 13 there, Pino, some good, strong players that the Mustangs here at the JV level have had that, again, hopefully is continue to work them through the feeder system. Good, solid stuff here for the Mustangs going forward.
Yeah, because I'm sure that there's a fair number of seniors they're going to lose from the varsity program after this season. So it's nice to know that there's talent at the JV level that can come in and fill in those holes. Again, it's another nice run there.
Oh, look at that! Oh, that's a nice ball.
Yeah, just a little bit too much weight on it, but still, it's the right idea.
And I think that's the kind of stuff that's encouraging there. Again, Nevis and Pino working together nicely. The two of them have had a nice combinations during the course of the day. But, Eric, something like that where, although it didn't result, obviously, in the goal, the fact that was, certainly a set play, a planned play by those two players, it's just kind of nice to watch them start to work together as they kind of get to know where each other is on the field. It's fun to watch that kind of play.
I totally agree. No, and definitely they're working well off one another, which is great to see, especially this early in the season. And it's also interesting. I know that for the girls program, there was often the problem that when they would go play on turf, because they practice down at Father Max, which is a grass field, you'd be surprised how different the game plays on turf as opposed to grass. The ball just rolls that much further, bounces that much truer, and so it takes a little getting used to. And sometimes you'd see those touch passes through just a little too much on them, because with grass you got to give them a little more oomph, and it's not the same on turf. But I think I don't know if the boys have been practicing up here, but they've actually adjusted very well to being on turf. I think the balls have been pretty well placed, and
Yeah,
So-
you do. You're right. You kind of get a feel of how much you need to really kind of put on that ball to be able to make the play there. So Perenchby will try to knock that ball in there to Mang. Millis is able to
Millis is doing a good job
Yep.
building back out of their end. Oh, unfortunate there, but
East is working the center of that field.
Nice.
Over to Nevis again.
very
Nevis
nice.
continues to work through.
Wow.
Continues on possession.
That was some.
Wow, that was a great individual effort there. Terrific save by the goaltender.
Yeah.
But boy, he was not to be denied. He just was he continued to work and work, and so he will take the corner for the Mustangs there on the far side, number 50.
Yeah, just a real good job of maintaining possession of that ball and still working his way towards the goal. So very nice. Hopefully, he didn't put an eye out.
I
with
was
that
just
flag.
about to say he's sitting here trying to write the flag, and he's not going to be taken out by a Millis defender. He is going to be taken out by the corner flag there, but he's able to get the ball in. It's right back to him. Looks
Well,
like I pulled him in
offsides
offsides
there.
on that,
Yeah.
but maybe next time he'll just leave the flag down. So we've got about just under 11 minutes here in the third quarter. Norwood continues to hold its 2-0 lead. Goals early on in the first quarter by Issa and the second quarter by Nevis has led to this 2-0 advantage here for the Mustangs. Mohawks trying to get something started here.
No, he just-
McFarland turns, but he's quickly displaced by the ball, and Mustangs again back on the attack.
Here we go again. Nevis out to the
Yep.
out wide, and one move and passed. I'm sure. Yep, there we go.
And you can, you talked about, Millis having not quite the numbers, and you look at someone like Aiden Ludwig, number 4, and just the size difference. Ludwig did a great job of kind of staying on the taller, bigger player. But, and again, on a game like soccer, sometimes that, Norwood could take advantage of the size difference. But Aiden Ludwig there, number 4, did a nice job defensively for the Mohawks. So the Mustangs will continue to work that ball on the outside as we come under 10 minutes here in the third quarter.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see if in fact the rules have cut down on some of the, the more physical.
Oh, another nice
marking.
save
wow,
there.
That is a good job by
Yeah.
that keeper. But just if the rules are sort of cutting down on some of the more physical marking, it could be to the advantage of the smaller kids who are maybe very skilled, but once you get to this level, it's a lot easier to get knocked off the ball when a kid's got 60 or 70 pounds on you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and to that point, when you want something like confidence, and speaking of which, there's Ludwig again stepping in. If you can play the ball a little bit and not have to necessarily worry about the contact. Kelly working a nice run here. Oh, it's a nice little run. He's got some wheels there, Patrick Kelly, and he's not afraid to take off from his defensive position and make that run all the way. But yeah, these kids are going to start to, again, if you go this route, they'll maybe start to play with a little bit more confidence, like you said, Eric, knowing that they're not going to get themselves, necessarily buried.
Yeah, and and obviously like a kid like number 4 there, he's not going to be that size his entire high school career,
Yep.
and it's entirely possible he's an 8th grader right now, right?
Yeah.
And so if he, learns a little bit about how to play at this level, gets the confidence, like you said, and then once he starts to get the size, it'll just make him that much better a player.
Exactly. So if you're looking kind of maybe for silver linings out of all this, the chance for, again, it's not supposed to be a contact sport to begin with. So, the fact that they're going to kind of really be keeping an eye on it this fall allows, hopefully, more player development, that you don't have to necessarily, again, worry about taking that, elbow or arm into the back, and you will start to develop your skills here. I was talking to one of the parents during the halftime, and we're again, just because again the whistles blows, possession disappears and changes direction so many times now. It's just kind of interesting to try to figure out who's got the ball in terms of these whistles and why.
Yeah. Yeah, the boys have done. I think soccer players generally claim to be completely baffled as to why a foul was called on them. But I think maybe right now it's a little more legit that they don't entirely understand what it is they've done wrong. So
Waiting for them to put the palms up to the air, going,
Yeah.
What did I do?
Me,
I don't
what?
understand.
Exactly. I did no such thing, ref.
Usually not going to get the call changed when you
No,
do
it
that.
seldom works that way.
Seldom works that way. So that ball had been played in there by number 22, Wallach Jean-Pierre, but Millis is able to take over. Pierre steps back in. Flicked out there.
Cam LaPiccolo. Oh. So once again, nice move there.
Yeah,
Cam
Lindbergh.
LaPiccolo, nice job coming back.
Lindbergh works
Defense.
hard.
He's
able
got
to break three.
He's got
Now
a step. But I think Norwood's got enough speed back there. Yep, they were able to close it down. It was well done.
And you could see there that LaPiccolo was staying in his lane as Serrator kind of went towards the Millis attacker. Kind of take away anything in the middle of the field there. But,
yeah, it's nice to see that. Even at the defensive end, the boys, the Norwood boys, are really playing well off one another, right? Like they understand their responsibilities, and I think it's good. It's a good sign for the season.
Pimental for Millis will knock that ball back in. Pimental picks it back up again. Tries to send the ball through. There's a nice little ball through.
Oh,
Millis
nice
continues
defending
to work
there, way
here.
to get in there and muck up the works.
Nugent will hold that ball for the Mustangs. He's quickly dispossessed.
Ooh. All right.
And that ought to be there. Millis' first corner.
Little Norwood collision there. Both boys popped right back up, which is good.
Yeah, I mean, you got it. Again, this has basically been mostly Mustang possession for the first three quarters, as we're about 5:30 left here in the third quarter. Norwood's still up 2-0, but you cannot get too complacent. You can't get too soft with a 2-0 lead. And Norwood there had kind of gotten a little sloppy in its own end. Millis was unable to capitalize.
Yeah, but you're absolutely right. You don't want to. There's as much time left in the game for Millis to score 2 or 3 goals as there was for Norwood to score its 2 goals. So
Exactly. Yep. So De Silva rolling the ball there, trying to get himself through, is unable to do so.
I think he actually had his head up. I think he was actually looking for. He was possessing the ball, but his head up. It looked like he was trying to find someone for the through ball, but just couldn't quite figure out who it was going to be. And then Millis did a good job defending it and taking that ball away. So again, it's nice to see the Norwood players playing with their heads up, looking for the pass, looking for the space.
And it was noticing there on that last offsides is that Millis is now, and again, down 2, are starting to send more guys up front. So they've got at least 4 of the forwards there. And see, now here's something right here. That ball is off of the turf.
Yep.
Not by much, and the ref is really letting Serrator know that. So he'll have to back up, and again, just like that, Millis has got the indirect from outside here.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think Millis is recognizing that our defenders. Nice job with the offsides trap there. I don't know if you saw the Norwood back line took 2 steps forward and put that Millis player right off sides, and it worked. But I think Millis is recognizing that we've got some fairly aggressive defenders who are stepping up into the offensive end, and they're playing higher in the hopes of springing that breakaway. So
Yep. So Kelly will take it here, and he'll keeps that ball right there on the ground.
Oh, and it
Sneaks all the way through to Nevis.
Little seeing eye ball there,
Yep.
just kind of worked its way through.
Takes his time.
He's got to make that nice little ball ahead to Cam LaPiccolo.
Plico's got numbers, as he's got De Silva there running towards the middle.
Unfortunate there. Had the right idea of switching the field.
Yep.
Yeah, Millis did a good job. Cam had some space when he first made that turn with the ball, but Millis came back and filled their back line pretty quickly. So credit to them. Oh, there's a nice ball.
Spring here, number 22, Joe Borrett.
Yep.
Norwood.
Again, well defended by Norwood, by Patrick Kelly.
Yeah, it seems, at least here in the second portion of this third quarter, Millis is, again, starting to kind of make a few runs here, trying to, find some lanes, get that ball through.
Yeah, thankfully, Norwood really does seem to have some speed on its back line.
Yeah.
And they're able to recover quickly even when Millis gets through. And, it's just, Millis doesn't quite have enough speed to get all the way past them to keep that, if they've got a step, it's not quite, especially it's hard to keep your full pace once you've got a ball at your feet again, right? And you've got to kind of look at it and make that right touch so you don't put it too far ahead. So, Norwood's able to take advantage of that with their speed and come back and recover nicely.
Kelly there working, trying to get that ball through. Here he goes again.
All right, so again, using his speed and his being pretty aggressive in terms of carrying it forward.
Would have liked to have seen him there maybe kind of play that ball up to Jean-Pierre, number 22, and then maybe cut inside back towards the box for kind of more of a give and go. You kind of had two Norwood players kind of running right next to each other.
Yeah.
One of them's got to learn to kind of cut so he can become an option for Kelly. So if Kelly's going to take that long run, then he's got to have someone there to kind of, lay that ball to.
Yeah, I think that you're absolutely right. Like, you just move to a different space. I think there was, Patrick is fast enough and aggressive enough that he's going to want to carry that ball. And
Yep.
if Wallach had maybe moved, taken a more of a curving run or an angled off a little bit, he would have given himself. It would have made more sense for Patrick to make the pass, right? Passing at 5 feet directly in the same lane when you've got a head of steam isn't necessarily the right thing to do, but a little more angle on that would have been good.
So we are under 2 minutes here left in the third quarter. Norwood again holding on to its 2-0 lead.
But again, to be fair to Wallach, Patrick's got about a foot and a half on him. So I think this, once again the developmental differential between these boys can really
Yep.
show sometimes. So.
Yep. And again, something like that, so Wallach will get a sense that Patrick's going to take that run, and then he'll know, so you kind of get a sense like again, move away, get yourself, become an option for
Yep.
for Patrick, give him an opening there that he might be able to lay that ball into him.
Right. Yeah. Serve as maybe even serve as like just that wall, right? So the kind of quick give and go sort of thing, even at that pace and at that point in the field, that can make the defender have to make a choice.
Millis once again trying to get some offense going. Ball comes back. Here's Nevin Kelly. Nevin Kelly trying to get that ball over to
Working hard.
Demong. Yep. So Nevin will take the kick in here. As I know his parents are down there watching, so they're extremely pleased to see. Oh, and he laid that ball in nicely.
That's
What a
well
nice
done.
little touch.
Yeah, that was
It's
very
a
well
great
done.
little touch there.
Yep.
Nevin working very hard here. Ball bounced out. It's a little bit of contact
Good work by Millis there, though. The Norwood player was going to have a hard time handling that, so right idea by Millis to pressure him, make
Yep.
him hear the footsteps. But Norwood did handle that pretty well. Oh,
Ball in quickly there by Millis.
no, he
And
whistled.
again, that's a nice play there by Millis. Sometimes, with these things, especially when they used to be able to throw, trying to get that ball in quickly to be able to kind of get the players off, catch them off guards, get that ball in quickly. And Millis was trying to do that there. But looks like we have come to the end of the third quarter. And once again, your score after 3 quarters of play, Mustangs still holding on to their 2-0 lead over Millis. We'll be right back right after these messages.
We have a responsibility as a community
to give all our youth the best opportunity to succeed.
To stop a problem before it starts.
To not stigmatize mental health and addiction.
We have a responsibility
to promote positive youth and adult relationships.
To engage youth in the community.
We have a responsibility
to maintain,
to encourage,
to take pride in the health of our youth.
We have a responsibility to give all our youth the best opportunity to succeed.
Together we can make an impact.
Learn how you can be involved at impactnorwood.org.
Living Local is a new program coming to Norwood Community Media that highlights businesses and events here in Norwood. Everything you need to know about eating local, shopping local, exercising local, or even creating local, you'll find it right here on NCM's newest program, Living Local. You'll get an inside look into what makes each business unique. Only on Norwood Community Media, your home for all things Norwood. Do you want to stay up to date with Norwood Community Media? Then subscribe to our weekly NCM newsletter. Every Friday, our promotions department publishes an online newsletter that highlights the work of NCM and the latest happenings. It includes the full episode of Norwood News, recent clips from NCM programs, behind-the-scenes photos, and so much more. NCM works hard to deliver a steady stream of Norwood content, and this newsletter is another way to stay connected to Norwood. To receive the newsletter, just visit www.norwoodcommunitymedia.org. Scroll to the bottom of the page, Click the sign up for our newsletter button and enter some basic information. You'll then be added to our newsletter mailing list. It's all here on Norwood Community Media, your home for all things Norwood.
Your home for all things Norwood. Online at norwoodcommunitymedia.org.
Hi, I'm Chief Bill Brooks of the Norwood Police Department. The men and women of the Norwood PD are committed to protecting you and to providing you with top quality service. We're busy. Norwood is a nice town, but in any given 24-hour cycle, we handle anywhere from 65 to 90.
And we're back here for the fourth and final quarter here of today's game between the Mustangs of Norwood JV team taking on the Millis Mohawk. Norwood comes in here into the fourth quarter with a 2-0 lead, and so we'll see kind of, Eric there towards the end of the third quarter. Millis, at least maybe even halfway into the third quarter, I thought they kind of started to pick up their game a little bit more. They're starting to take more runs. I would suspect you're going to see a lot of that here in the fourth quarter as they try to at least, put some more pressure on Norwood.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I suspect they're going to start pushing more players forward in the hopes of, pressuring Norwood more on their own end and really kind of trying to put one in the back of the Norwood net.
Exactly. So Norwood's got to, again, kind of, they've been playing strong defensively for 3 quarters here. Ball sneaking through. There's a quick little run there.
Quarter.
Oh, what a great save. What
keeper,
a great save.
Yeah, that keeper has been playing very well.
Wow. That would have been obviously kind of, quite a game breaker right there.
Yeah, that would have been a very deflating way to start the final quarter there.
Exactly. But, boy, what a save there as Issa had snuck through trying to get his second one of the day. Now, so the Millis, that was a great save there. We got some wheels here.
Yep.
As you watch number 26, Bartola, try to cut through the middle, as 15 Lindbergh had a nice run there.
He really did. Oh, and Norwood's got a keeper change. I think Connor Curran, it is Connor, right? Curran is now has taken over for I think it was Zach.
Yep. So Zach didn't have much to do, at least there for the first 3 quarters.
Yeah, so it's always nice to put the kid in net in the final quarter when the other team is desperately trying to get a goal.
Right, exactly.
It'll be really relaxing for him.
You've got a nice clean sheet here, so
no pressure there, Connor.
Exactly. All right, so Millis will be taking its second corner of the day, and again, kind of like that indirect there, as that pops up to McFarland.
Oh,
McFarland is able to roll that ball right in, and Curran scoops it up. Thrown out to the far side for Tim Lee.
I think Curran might be a baseball player. That was a nice little. It was a very easy flick of the wrist, about 20 yards out there. So.
So we have Tim Lee on the nice run.
Back here we go again.
Here he comes back again. He's got some.
Oh, that's
here.
a good ball right to. There we go. Nice job by 24 there. Yeah.
Yeah, Ryan Petrush had stepped in nicely, and that's going to have to be obviously.
It's like I think they called Norwood for the trip there.
Yep, that one was kind of easy. I don't think Norwood's even going to put their palms up to that one.
No, and it clearly not intentional. It was just tangled feet, but it was definitely Norwood's foul. So
yeah. But again, that was a terrific play there by Tim Lee. Very an unselfish play as he's looking to move that ball to the middle and having the numbers set up nicely there. Nevis, I like when they do that. They don't necessarily have to play the ball. He kind of bodies position himself in a nice way and let the ball come to him as he rolled into the box there.
Yeah, 24 on Millis. I think he's got some potential. He's a big body. He's pretty fast and he defends well. I think he taken a little bit by surprise by Nevis's speed a couple times there and his ability to turn the corner. But I think he was the one who came back and broke up that earlier play and drew the foul. But
yeah. Yeah, you've watched him. He's again he respects the speed, but he has reacted well to kind of cut that back down.
Oh, nice little move
Lindbergh
there.
again.
Chop.
Lindbergh has been kind of one of their faster players. That number 15. We talked about Ludwig there, number 4.
Yep.
Moving up, now playing a little bit of the offense.
Yeah, poor Ludwig. He has to keep matching up against Patrick Kelly again. Just doesn't seem quite fair.
Yeah.
But that's the life of a high school athlete, especially when you're in your first couple of years, right?
Another nice ball through there. Norwood really playing some nice balls, working together.
And I see some of the. It looks like the varsity is starting to show up for their game. They're standing down there by the behind the Millis goal there, so cheering on their JV counterparts. Wonder if if once the JV players recognize that they're there, if they'll step up their game a little bit more to show off a bit for the
that's
varsity.
Right. Yep. Knowing that they've again, kind of holding on to that 2-0 lead right now. Norwood working its corners.
Yeah. Again, that was a good quick start with the corner. Take advantage of Millis maybe being a little flat-footed.
Yeah.
Huh. And
Once
another
again, there's some more stoppage of play.
Maybe an off. I don't know how it would be an offside.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Not quite sure what. So nonetheless, Millis will take over here. Knocked down there quickly by Issa.
For
flicks
Millis
it outside to Tim Lee.
Tim Lee again in the middle. Oh, that was.
The 3 of these guys here, between Nevis, Issa, and Tim Lee up front, have been working extremely well.
Yeah, I think they're definitely feeling out how to play with one another,
Yeah.
and I think doing a good job of it. So.
And it has worked well. It has worked well today for the Mustangs in terms of starting with your back line there. Obviously, right. Strong, as they say, strong right up the middle with Patrick Kelly anchoring that strong defense right in the middle, and then the transition from defense to offense. And once again, Micaiah there, number 18, is able to kind of remind the referee that Millis, and then they were, but it was clearly offsides on that play, as Ludwig was trying to get yet another run for Millis, but comes back this way.
Having spent time as both as a player, as a coach, and a ref in soccer, I can tell you it is so much easier to call offsides when you are a player or a coach.
Or sitting up here in the booth.
Sitting up here in the booth, absolutely. I mean, it's certainly easiest as a fan, especially when you're one of those parents who has no idea how the offsides rules actually work.
So Norwood continues down this end.
Oh, that was a good little flick
Petrish
on.
looks out there, and he's got Ludwig.
Yeah.
Ludwig continues to work. Tries to get outside. Tracked down there by Nugian.
Well done.
Just under 11 minutes left here in the final quarter. Norwood holding on to its 2-0 lead.
And continuing to really put pressure on the Millis defense. Well, I guess the team as a whole, really. They've been backing them into their own end. And credit to Millis's keeper. He's definitely made some great saves in these.
He really has done well. Both goals that had gone in were solid setup plays. Issa's in the first quarter, and Nevis there to take the 2-0 lead in the second.
Yeah, no, certainly nothing against the earlier Millis keeper. I think those goals he gave up were he was going to be hard pressed for anybody to make the saves on those. So I think, and the Millis keepers have definitely seen a lot more work than the Norwood keepers. So
definitely. So,
but again, I mean, if Millis didn't even have enough players for a JV team until earlier this week, I can't imagine these kids have had a lot of time to practice together. And so, I'm sure if Norwood saw Millis again later this.
Oh, what
again!
Wow.
Again with that Millis keeper.
Unbelievable. They may have found a permanent keeper here. Maybe if I am the Millis varsity coach, I'm keeping an eye on this young man.
No kidding. Although who knows, maybe he's working himself into a job he doesn't really want. But he's playing very well.
Another great run there by Tim Lee. Is able to, again, he had the Millis defender right on his hip, and he kind of puts on the brakes and then cuts back into the box. That's a great move. And but the Millis keeper, and I unfortunately don't have his name, but has really kind of kept Millis right in this one here, especially here in the early goings of the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and that shot resulted from some really good play back in the midfield. Cam LaPiccolo takes possession of the ball, looks up, sees the field, makes a nice pass into space so that his teammates can run onto it, and it results in a really good shot and a great save. But But again, I think it's nice to see that Norwood's success is largely coming out of team play, right? I mean, there's been some definite, some impressive individual play, no doubt. But by and large, this success, I think, is a credit to how they're playing together as a team, and they're not really relying on any one player. So I think it really bodes well for the season as a whole, and I think for the program overall. So it's great.
Yeah. So Norwood again, possession here, ref off of a Millis player, so Norwood will retain possession.
Maybe not. Hey,
they looked up here, they heard us, and they said, we're going to give it to Millis.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Millis will make their change here.
Again, is with about half of the final quarter left here.
Exactly. Yeah, you're just about 8 minutes left here in the match. On a beautiful, beautiful day up here at Norwood. Could not have asked for a nicer day here to start the season for these young men.
Yeah, Millis is definitely their substitution pattern, I think, a little more generous than Norwood's, and I think maybe with only 8 minutes to go in the game and it seems like a fairly secure lead, it'd be nice if maybe we got some of those other Norwood players back in the game for a while. But
Kelly then strong there on that, and that anchoring that back
here's
line.
Here's Camla Piccolo head up looking for the through ball. Oh, that was a good idea. And again, that keeper is he's controlling his box. He's doing a really good job back there. And I think at a JV level, there might be some keepers who'd be hesitant to come that far out for the ball, but he didn't hesitate.
Millis there trying to put the ball through.
Realized right afterwards, I'm not supposed to head the ball.
Yeah, that is one of again there are a number of new rules. If it there is no intentional heading. Obviously, if that had somehow gone off the player's head, but you are not allowed this year to intentionally head the ball, and we've talked about that. Again, obviously the taller players on corner kicks that certainly takes something out of there. Nice little ball through there.
And again, good recovery by Patrick.
It was funny. Number 16 there, Tony Estati. I think he looked at the ref. He was almost kind of expecting maybe he was offsides, and so he kind of started to peel back a little bit. But you're right. Yeah, Patrick Kelly just kind of turned on the jets. And
I think Patrick helped with that too, though, because I think it's his instinct immediately throw your arm up in the hopes that you get the offsides call, and I think it may have thrown the Millis player off, thinking, oh, maybe he's right.
Yeah. So and without stopping on the ball, Kelly just continued to march towards it. So we're approaching about 6 minutes left here in the game.
But it is interesting with taking the heading out. I mean, I know there's been talk for a while now about removing heading from at least high school.
Right.
And it's been taken out of the youth game at a number of levels, just because of the concerns about concussion and just head injury and the like. And so, it's certainly you can play the game without heading. But it is, if you can do it, right, and you can do it well, it can certainly be a weapon in your arsenal. But it's not as if the game can't be played without it. It's just you got to get used to doing it that way. So, and it's entirely possible that I had at least one concussion as a high school soccer player myself from heading the ball, and it was back before people did a good job of recognizing the signs and all. So I know you can really ring your own bell.
That certainly might explain a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
So Norwood here again. We're approaching just about 5 minutes left, and it'd be kind of nice to see if maybe here in the last 5 minutes of the match that they kind of start to work on some possession. You're sitting here really kind of in the driver's seat, and kind of work on some set plays. Maybe we don't need to necessarily take the runs. Kind of secure this match here.
Yeah, I mean it's always hard for high school players, I think, to take their foot off the pedal to some extent. But yeah, you can definitely, work on your defensive structure a little bit, or and even maybe work in some players into positions they're not normally comfortable in, just because you're building your team and your program, and if you've got kids who play midfield normally but put them back on defense a little bit, they become better defensive midfielders, and if you put them up on striker again, so just opportunities to work on things. I mean, a 2-0 lead is not an insurmountable one, certainly, but I think given the run of play, it's not as if Norwood scored those goals against the run of play. They've very much dominated, and so I think you're right. There's an opportunity here to work on some things, but also it's first game of the season.
Yeah,
the things they just basically need to work on are being out on the field, probably.
Exactly. So another ball through there, just not able to catch up with it. So the Millis will get the goal kick. See Brendan Santana stepping in there for the Mustangs, number 17 on the far side. Joe Burrett trying to turn for Millis.
Oh, not a bad idea.
Not a bad idea. You know, it's one of those you kind of maybe catch the goaltender flat-footed, and you can just try to chip one over his head.
Yeah. He was off his line a bit, and so not a bad idea. Although I think with this keeper, you're going to be hard catching him flat-footed.
Yeah.
He seems really on his game.
Ball knocked down there.
Good clearance there by Millis. Just get the ball out of danger. Oh,
Here's
nice.
A run
There
here.
we go.
Number 16 again. That's Tony Astani.
And again, just too much speed on the Norwood back line. They just
Serrator is able to tie him back.
Can't get past them. Even when they do get past them, they just can't kind of keep that step. So, a nice little heel flick from Camilo Piccolo.
Yeah, and then again, you know, there has been, during the course of today's match, there's just been some really nice transition from the defensive zone through the midfield up into the offensive zone. It's somewhat like hockey in that the fact that you know generally the puck and the ball will move faster than the runner. So if you can move that ball forward or into a space and let your teammate run to it, they have really done a nice job of moving that ball forward today.
They really have, and I've been impressed. I think the boys, I think to a player really, have seemed very comfortable with the ball on their feet. Right? Oftentimes, you get a little nervous and you don't really want to have the ball there, and there's a lot of quick kicks that aren't necessarily purposeful. But I really do think, for the most part, these boys have settled the ball, known where they're going with it. It hasn't always been successful, just because it's difficult to play a perfect game. But I think they've usually been trying to move the ball with purpose and with a clear intent for what they're doing. And I think all of this, I've largely been very impressed with how well they're playing as a team and individually. So it's just great.
It's been a nice start to the season here for the Mustangs. And we are under 2 minutes left here in the match as the time now goes down onto the field. So we will wait for that final whistle from our referees as the Mustangs look to close this one out early.
Yeah, we're in that point in a hockey game where the goalie might get pulled, but not a good idea in soccer, honestly. I think
don't necessarily need that extra attacker.
No.
So Serrator will.
Although, do you remember the goalie for the Mexican national team years ago who used to regularly make runs from his own goal and like all the way to the other end of the,
and then have to hike it all the way back?
Yep.
I do remember there was one time my son's sophomore year he was playing for the junior varsity team, and they actually had I don't know if it was a penalty kick or just outside the box, and they had their goalie run all the way up to take the kick, missed it, and he had to sprint all the way back.
I mean, you will definitely see stuff like that when a team is down in the final minutes. If they've got a free kick within striking range, oftentimes the goalie, goalies usually have such powerful legs, they'll come up and take it in the hopes of getting an extra attacker in the box or whatnot. But yeah, you don't want it to go wrong because although truth be told, losing 3-0 versus 2-0, either way, it's still a loss. So.
Curran's able to kind of
be aggressive
alleviate the pressure there.
Oh, but a good through ball. Oh,
wasn't quite sure there if that was what Petrish wanted. He just kind of missed a little bit on his foot there, number 24. But you've got some numbers up there. And again, like you said, you're working on a clean sheet here, and this is not the time to get necessarily sloppy or complacent here. You want to finish this out as you started it.
Yeah. But again, credit to Millis, right? I mean, they're being aggressive and they're pushing forward and they're making some good plays. So,
exactly. You play, as they say, you play to that last whistle. There's no reason to kind of take any time off. So Kelly will work it here.
Yeah, and certainly I don't think I think Millis has worked hard this entire game. You haven't seen. Oh, and that would be the final whistle.
Yeah, there we go. And that's the look we're looking for there as Norwood is able to open up its 2020 season with a very impressive, Eric, I thought a very impressive 2-0 win. Goals in the first quarter there by Issa and a second quarter goal by Nevis were the two that all that Norwood needed here for the clean sheet as they move to 1-0 on the season. Eric, your thoughts here on the early going for the Mustangs?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it was really impressive, and in some ways it's great, right? The boys get the confidence builder of a good win. They did a lot of things really well that their coach can reinforce, but there was enough enough clear stuff to work on. So, I think they can take the lessons from that, and I think this will. Oh, so I guess there's an end of game wave.
Here's your virtual high five. Thank you. Good game. Good game. Good game. Good game. That again, you look at something like that, and it's a nice sportsman type gesture, but it's kind of a reminder of the things that a lot of these guys are not able to participate in terms of just the old going through the line and congratulating your opponent on a well played match. And I really thought it was, although you're right. I think the Mustangs kind of dominated time of play and obviously possession. But I don't think Millis has anything to hang their heads about for such a young team to play as well as they did. And I think that it bodes well maybe for the Millis program going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they much like Norwood, right? They did some good things, they did some bad things, but I think a lot to be positive about, and they should certainly go home with their heads held high and feel like they did a good job and worked hard from first whistle to last whistle. So
exactly.
Excellent all around.
So your final score again here from Murray Field as the Norwood JV team takes care of the Millis Mohawks 2-0. We will be back in probably about 10-15 minutes where we will be bringing you a live broadcast of the boys varsity as they take on Millis. So for Eric Bodenhofer, I'm Mark Hoover, and we'll see you in just a little bit for the varsity game.